The happiest divorced couple, as they describe themselves. She describes herself as being divorced to rather than divorced from him. I've heard her say on multiple occasions what a kind man he is, what a good father, what a good grandfather.
I know that deep down I'm okay. So many people can write horrible things, and every day somebody writes absolutely diabolical things about me, but I know that's not me.
So, you know how most divorced couples can't even stand being in the same room together? Well, not Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew. These two split way back in 1996, but they've somehow stayed weirdly close ever since. Like, not just friendly texts on birthdays close, they've actually been living together for years at Royal Lodge. Breakfast, family dinners, full-on housemates, and now rumors are flying that they might actually get married again. And before you roll your eyes, Fergie's been saying real things. She's openly said she'd marry him again 100% and still calls their wedding the best day of her life. Meanwhile, Andrew's been keeping quiet, but he hasn't moved on either. They still do everything together, family events, dog walks, even vacations. So yeah, it's no wonder people are wondering if something more is going on. But before we start planning outfits for the possible royal reboot wedding, let's rewind a bit and see how we even got here.
Duchess, hello.
Hello. Hi, Michael.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Very good to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
You're looking very regal up there.
Am I? That's very nice of you.
You're feeling regal up there.
I'm just Sarah up here.
So here's the deal. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew officially ended their marriage way back in 1996. That's nearly 3 decades ago. Most couples who call it quits that long ago, they're lucky if they can sit in the same room without awkward tension. But Sarah and Andrew, a totally different story. Instead of moving on with their separate lives like most divorced couples, these two just stayed put. They kept living together at Royal Lodge in Windsor. And we're not talking about a temporary setup. We've been talking for nearly 20 years under the same roof. And just to be clear, Royal Lodge isn't some cramped little townhouse. It's a massive estate. But still, it's not like they're just barely crossing paths in a giant palace. Sarah herself has said they live like a family. She's even described it as the happiest divorced couple arrangement. And honestly, it kind of looks like it. They've been spotted attending events together, taking care of their dogs, and supporting their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, as a unit. Most of the time, you wouldn't even realize they were divorced if you just looked at how they move in public. And while the world moved on, watching Andrew's royal role slowly fade, especially after the whole Epstein scandal, Sarah never stepped away. She didn't relocate, she didn't cut ties, she stayed right there at Royal Lodge continuing life with Andrew like it was still the 90s. The way they've been described by friends and insiders is basically as life partners without the paperwork, which is wild considering everything Andrew's gone through publicly. Sarah couldn't distance herself. Instead, she leaned in, literally and emotionally. Some reports even say she's the one keeping the Royal Lodge running, especially now that Andrew's had his royal perks pulled. And here's another thing that people forget. They've never really aired each other out in public. There's never been that big messy ex moment. No tell-all book trashing Andrew, no podcast drama, nothing. It's always been respectful. Actually, way more than respectful, it's been supportive, almost loyal, which is why this whole situation has always been a little puzzling. But wait till you hear what Sarah's been saying out loud about Andrew recently. Okay, so we already know Sarah and Andrew have kept their bond strong over the years, but it's not just about living arrangements or friendly co-parenting. Sarah's been talking, and not in polite terms. In multiple interviews, she's made it very clear that she still has deep feelings for Andrew. We're talking about unfiltered comments. She's literally said she'd marry him again, and not in a jokey kind of way. She said, "I'd marry him again, 100%. And when you think about it, that kind of statement doesn't come from nowhere. It's one thing to say, oh, we're on good terms, but saying you'd marry your ex again after everything, that means the love never really left. She also called their wedding back in 1986 the best day of her life. Even all these years later, she's still looking back on that day like it was something magical. And it doesn't stop there. Sarah's made tons of public comments over the years that show she's still very much in her feelings about Andrew. She once said, "He's my soulmate," and described him as a kind, good man who's been misunderstood. That's not your average energy. That's emotional loyalty. What makes all this even more interesting is that she's never really shown interest in dating anyone else. It's always been Andrew or nothing. It's like part of her never really left the marriage at all. Even when things got messy for Andrew, with the royal titles gone, the public backlash, the media storm, Sarah stood by him. She's done interviews defending him, reminding everyone that she knows the real Andrew. That kind of loyalty doesn't just happen out of politeness. So are we witnessing a second chance at love? Or is this just one big nostalgic throwback moment?
Happy Easter, sir.
Alright, so we know Sarah and Andrew have been living together for years after their divorce, but this isn't just about two exes awkwardly sharing a house to save money or keep up appearances. What they've had behind closed doors looks a lot more like an ongoing relationship, just without the official labels. When Andrew's public image started to spiral, especially after the serious allegations tied to the Epstein case, most of the royal family quietly pulled back. The palace stopped commenting. His royal duties were stripped. His title of His Royal Highness was removed. Basically, he went from being a senior royal to a background figure almost overnight. But Fergie, she kept appearing in public with him, speaking kindly about him and holding firm that the Andrew she knows isn't the man being described in the headlines. This wasn't some PR move either. Sarah has said herself that what keeps them so close is what she calls the 3 C's: communication, compromise, and compassion. That's not something you usually hear from divorced couples. That sounds more like someone still working on a relationship. She's been open about how they sit down and talk through things, they make decisions together, they show empathy. Basically, they still operate like a unit. And when things did get uncomfortable, like very uncomfortable, Fergie didn't flinch. She even said in an interview that she and Andrew are the happiest divorced couple in the world, and that what they have is real love, just without the legal stamp. She's called their arrangement unconventional, but says it works because they still respect each other deeply. They raise dogs together, they share meals, they celebrate holidays as a family. That's not just cohabiting, that's choosing each other daily, even without a ring. But real talk, when things got really ugly for Andrew, guess who never left? Let's be honest here, Andrew's name took a major hit in the last few years. After his ties to Jeffrey Epstein came to light, the fallout was immediate. His royal patronages were yanked, charities dropped him, the Queen even had to step in and basically bench him from royal life. The BBC interview he gave, it made things worse. And just when everyone seemed to be walking away from him, Fergie did the complete opposite. She stood her ground and backed him. In interview after interview, she said that Andrew is a great man and a good father. She's insisted that the person the media talks about isn't the man she knows. That's not a casual statement. That's someone taking a firm position when it's not popular to do so. And more than that, she's taken on a kind of caregiver role. Not officially, but in how she talks about him. She says she supports him emotionally, helps him stay grounded, handles things that he's no longer able to because of the scrutiny. When someone goes from spouse to ex to unofficial therapist/bodyguard, that's not just respect, that's ride or die. At a time when Andrew could have been totally isolated, no titles, no duties, no clear future, Sarah stayed close. It wasn't about appearances anymore. There was no royal gain in it for her, no public payoff. If anything, sticking by him puts her reputation at risk too. But she stayed. That kind of loyalty is rare, especially in royal circles where distancing yourself is usually the go-to move when scandal hits. And the way she talks about all of it, she just sticks to the script. Andrew is family and she's not going anywhere. Whether it's love, duty, or something in between, it's clear she sees this connection as unbreakable. And it's not just Andrew she's stayed tight with, her royal ties go way deeper.
Prince Andrew's ex-wife has come to his defense, calling the controversy surrounding his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein as nonsense. In an interview with Vogue magazine, Sarah Ferguson discussed the scandal and the toll it's taken on their daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie. The Duchess of York said the prince is the best man she knows.
So even though Sarah Ferguson isn't officially a royal anymore, she's definitely still part of the inner circle. She's not just lingering around the edges, she still has strong personal ties to the core of the family. Let's start with King Charles. Despite all the ups and downs over the years, Fergie has said she still holds a lot of respect for him. In fact, she's called him kind and a good man. And of course, there's her old bond with Princess Diana. They were childhood best friends before they married into royalty, so their connection ran deeper than just being in-laws. They even called each other Dutch as a nickname, short for Duchess. That closeness mattered. It shaped how Fergie fit into the royal world, and in some ways probably helped her stay anchored even after her divorce. And here's a twist not many people know. Queen Camilla and Fergie, their moms were best friends, so even now there's a kind of inherited bond between the two women. It's not just about titles, it's about shared history, shared circles, and knowing each other's families for decades. That's what makes Sarah's place in the royal world so unique. She's not just tied to Andrew, she's connected across multiple generations to Diana, to Charles, to Camilla. She grew up around them. These aren't just formal connections, they're personal ones. All of this just makes you wonder, are these royal bonds ever really broken? Or is this just one big, unconventional family? Now here's where things get really interesting. July 23rd, the date that used to be their wedding anniversary, quietly passed with zero public mention from either of them. Insiders are saying that the idea of a second wedding might not be so far-fetched after all. Some sources claim they've talked about it, that they've grown even closer in the last couple years, especially as they navigated Andrew's scandals together and supported each other through health scares, including Fergie's recent cancer battle. Whatever it is, it's clear these two are not your typical exes. But what do you guys think? Are we looking at the royal reunion no one really saw coming but kinda secretly hopes for? Or is this just two people who never stopped being a family even without the titles and rings? Drop your thoughts in the comments because we seriously want to know where y'all stand on this one. If you had fun hanging out with us today, go ahead and give this video a like, hit that subscribe button if you're into royal deep dives like this, and don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss the next royal twist. Catch you in the next one.